And this feels like home. Rain pouring down as I'm at the DrakenSpire, just like back home in Wales. It is covering it down, pouring down with rain at the moment, with the shaders on as well. It actually looks really nice with the shaders on. It has that lovely effect as it comes across. I thought I'll capture this and show this as we're going through the airships there and flying over the top of the trading hall. Quite nice and atmospheric. With the shaders on, it does take a little bit longer to load, and we can see a little couple of glitches that were there in the landscape, but that's only because it's the shaders and they're quite powerful, these ones, but we're also running on a 4K monitor, so it does a load of things there. But before we get into too much here, I'm sitting there thinking, right, okay, well, we got a lot of work to do here. There's going to be a few time-lapses, so let's jump into those. And I was going through the Nether shortly after this, and I came across this guy sitting down on the Nether Railway. I don't know how he's managed to get into here in the Nether. He seems a bit lost. I don't think you belong down here, little buddy there. You should possibly go back to the normal overworld, find yourself a portal. But yes, we are back here in the DrakenSpire. As you saw earlier with the time lapses, we've been doing a lot of work on the gardens out the back of the spire itself. But before we'll have a quick fly over the base, I'm just loving this. Now we've got the shaders in, I've got everything loaded up. It's nice just to fly over and see how it all looks as we fly over the top of it. And you can see how much we have built in like basically about 6 months, just over 6 months worth of building, and we can see how the town has come together here with the spire. Still loads to be done. I keep saying this, there's loads still to be done. We've done loads and we are moving very quickly, but we've also got a lot to build here. But this is the bit that you've seen us all working on a minute ago here. So half the gardens are done, we've got the other half of the gardens still to go. But if we come down in here amongst these trees, I love these sort of manicured trees we've got here outside the portal. So if you remember, this used to be like all sort of rough, broken, mountainous terrain. We dug a lot of it up last episode, and now we have our portal here that's not in the middle of a field anymore, but it's in this lovely sort of almost like driveway going up to the spire itself, with the spire at the end there, just echoing up into the air, or stretching up into the air. Not echoing, it's not making a sound as yet. We could possibly make it a sound. But anyway, yeah, we have these trees coming down the side here, and we'll just give a bit of a tour of what we've done with the gardens so far. I've been doing a lot of going around and looking at a lot of videos this week, and particularly I'll make mention of Blue Nerd's videos. Have been very helpful because I haven't really been particularly good at doing gardens and sort of landscapes and everything else before, and terraforming, so I've been sort of trying to teach myself a little bit of it this week as well. So we built this lovely little pond here, so it's just like this bit of almost like a wild pond with a few sort of lily pads in there, a bit of kelp in there, and a few pickles, sea pickles and seagrass and everything else, and then everything else outside of it's just a little bit wild. So there's a bit of a sort of pond area there. We got this little stairwell that come down from the gardens here. This will go to like a private dockyard. We haven't finished the dockyard. You saw us beginning to build it at the beginning of the time lapse. But we're going to have like some piers coming off here. I'll probably put some ships down here. Not too many, just a couple of military vessels like we've got over on the other side there. But these are the sort of like the private ones for whoever's in charge of the spire at the time. They can dock their own vessels down here, just outside the gardens. And then if we come up into this area, we can see we've got this greenhouse here to the side, which we'll have a look at in a bit more detail in a second. But just off to the left here, we've also got a little bit of a like sitting area here. So we've got some benches, we've got some lovely little plants in pots and everything else down here as well. A couple more benches at the end here. Again, inspired by a lot of Blue Nerd's videos. I'll link a couple of his tutorials down below because he's got some brilliant ideas and designs and everything else like that, and they've been quite useful for me as well this week. And then we have this greenhouse here. These greenhouses I got a little bit inspired by the designs that you find in games like Elder Scrolls Online, like the High Elven lands in Somerset and everything else have these beautiful greenhouses, and I thought I got a bit inspired by those. But we have this sort of design of a greenhouse here, so we built these up, and these ideas are hanging things off switches. There's another Blue Nerd classic design there as well. So we've done a few things there from there. He's been quite helpful this week looking at some of his videos. But we come up to here, then we've got this maze that we've built here, and I just built this extensive maze going all the way back here across here. It's a working maze. There is a route all the way through here to the centre, and then from the centre through to the other side of the maze. And I'm going to lay down a challenge this week for the Unorthoblocks other members on the server as well. If a member of the server can turn around and show on video them doing this maze from one side to the other without cheating, so no sort of using like above camera accounts or anything else like that, or cutting through or sort of jumping over the hedges or anything else like that, if they can show us doing that, then I will give them 4 diamond blocks. That's 4 diamond blocks, so that's, what's that work out to be? That's 37 diamonds. We'll give them 4 diamonds for the first person who could put a video up. Not every single person, just the first person who can get a video up showing them actually doing the whole maze and actually making it from one side of the maze to the other. And I'll give them 4 diamond blocks. That's my promise straight down the line there. We got the entrance down, one of the entrances up into the tower walls that we saw built last week. And then I've got another set of stables down here. These are pretty similar to the Minecraft Sekai designs that we built a couple of weeks ago. If you might remember, over on the other side of the base, I want a couple of actual more stables this side, sort of a bit more of like where probably like the house guard have their horses and stuff. So I sort of used the same sort of design there. So similar sort of design replicated over to here. Then we've got a few more little avenues of trees and stuff like that, sort of tucked away behind these bushes here. And then we've got a couple more greenhouses here. So this greenhouse here is going to hold, it holds basically what I call my exotic plants. So you got a bunch of mushrooms on the right there. We got a bunch of fungus on the left. We got taller fungus as we come through here, and some of the nether vines and stuff. And of course at the back there we've got some chorus fruit as well growing up as well. So we've got like this greenhouse here is there for the more exotic ones, and then we've got another greenhouse right beside it, which we're using for like desert plants and for watery plants and everything else. As you see coming here, we've got cacti at the front there, we've got a couple of bamboo shoots and everything else, and sugar cane, and then we also got here some coral in one of those, and then we've got more pond-like stuff in the other there. So it all kind of sort of matches together quite nicely there. So we've got different sort of themes in each of the greenhouses as well as we go around. Coming out the front here, we got a sort of area where we've just got a couple of like various different lawn ornamentations and stuff like that. So we've got like a fountain here with a cow taking a dip, taking a bath in our fountain for some reason. I don't know how he managed to get into there. But we come around, we've got some flower beds, we've got like a little bandstand, sort of stroke pavilion type thing here. Sort of just sat out there in the middle of the garden there. And then we come around to here, and we've got like this almost sort of like fountain stroke flower block, just sort of, again, just designed more for decoration, just to keep the garden looking a bit more alive. Then we've got some decking on the other side here as we come around to it, which is also going to have a bit of a sitting area as well up on there. So we've got a couple of tables and stuff, plants sort of dotted here and there amongst them. Just a nice little quiet sort of sitting area off to the one side there. So this is the gardens we built. We've got this area that you can see just straight ahead of us. That's going to be all still yet to be done. So there's still some work to be done here, but we're over halfway through. I'd say we're about 2/3 of the way through the garden. And with the plans I've got to do the rest, it shouldn't take too long to get through the rest either. But yeah, I mean, if we fly up to here, we can start seeing that the DrakenSpire is starting to get closer and closer towards its actual goal of actually having the inner city completed, and then we've got to go and do the outer city. So the spire itself that we're standing on at the moment, that needs to be completed. There are still floors to go in there. You can see the top of the roof just at the edge there. That's going to probably be, I'll probably put some bits of smaller mini gardens up there as well, so it kind of all looks nice, fitted in together. But you can see here, if we look down onto the gardens are actually coming on quite nicely, and it's sort of, it fits, it sits so nice in the background. I'm so happy with the way those are turned out. But we are like getting closer and closer. You can now start seeing the layout in a lot more detail down here of where we're going with it and how it's actually going to finally look. And then obviously we've got another city to put on the outside. We've got the outer city, so even more to go, but that shouldn't be as complicated as the inner city. The inner city's got most of the farms and everything else like that, and the more complicated stuff. But if we look over here, well, it says we've got 4 corners left to do. So this is the first corner we've got left to do on the base. This is going to have a couple of housings there. There'll be a little fishing dock and maybe a little lighthouse and stuff. This will be the second corner. This is the corner, this is the rest of the gardens here, and also a couple of little airships up in dock on the airship towers that are on the fortified walls there. Over onto this side, we've actually got a dockyard to do here, and just coming in underneath the actual air harbour as well, there's a bit of landscaping to be done as well to finish off around this area. So we will need to finish that bit off as well, so that's going to be something else as well. That'll be the third corner to be completed. And then the fourth corner around the base to be completed is over this side, which has existed there since pretty much day dot, and it's this rough terrains. And I quite like the rocks coming out the sea there. I quite like the way they work, but I think I might just shape them a bit more. Maybe put a tower out there with a couple of like bridges going between the actual sort of sea stacks and everything else there, and make them maybe a bit more pronounced sea stacks sort of sitting off the coastline there, and hopefully that should actually then look pretty nice over there. So still a little bit of shaping there. So we've got 4 corners still to work on, and the spire itself, plus there's probably going to be little bits and pieces around the base as well. I'll have to do a proper tour around and find all the little gaps and everything else that need to be completed off. Once we've done that, we can start working on the outer city, and that's what I'm looking forward to getting on to and cracking on with next, because once we get on with the outer city, I think there's a couple of airships also to be built around here as well, but once we can crack on with the outer city, that's when it's going to really start coming alive. So this already looks alive, it already looks big as a nice big massive build here, but as this is only the central area, there should be an even bigger area outside, but it will be a lot smaller housing and a lot quicker to go up in itself. That's the hope anyway, fingers crossed. So hopefully you should get through that in a couple of months doing that sort of stuff. And we're running out of time a little bit. I'm starting to feel a little bit of the crunch here and actually making sure I get everything done that I want to get done on the server before we end up progressing onto another season, which will eventually happen. There are, I won't go into the full details at the moment, but there are talks that we may end up doing that sometime this year. So we will have a look at that one. And I want to make sure that I've got this into as much complete state as possible before we hit that point. But as well as seeing all of these and everything else and being able to come down into our DrakenSpire, and it just feels really nice coming down here. There's this really nice feeling as we walk down this avenue coming out from the actual spire itself, and you can see the trees and lining either side, and the spire in the background, and the air harbour off to the left there, as you can see there, so with its arching bridge going over to the big tower as well. All kind of nicely sits together. But we have, for a while, because there's been a few things on, there's been Halloween, there's been Christmas and everything else, we haven't really caught up with the rest of the guys in the collective for a while. So we decided that it's about time we started doing some things again together as a collective, so to speak. And there is one thing that was on our list that we had to get done, that we needed to go and actually get sorted out as well along the lines. So we met up with the rest of the guys there to go and work on something a little bit more special. Let's see how that turned out. Who's starting this?
Yeah. I can start it if you guys want.
Are we all recording? Are we all on record now?
Yeah, you spawned an endermite. I'm in F5.
What a way to start.
I'm being sabotaged by my own teammates. So forever ago, we had a meeting about potentially having the collective headquarters, and that we chose an area we wanted to build it. It's over there. And many months later, we are here to actually get started. You guys ready?
Hooray!
Yay!
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm all good.
Let's get to building.
Let's go. Let's get building. I love working on these sort of projects where you have a bunch of you all working together. And you can see what we did there was we had Lightmatica loaded up as well. Bex actually designed this with the idea of building in a sort of combination of all three of our sort of design styles, putting them together into this one building. And then we all came together to work on it to actually build it on the server using Lightmatica as a guide. Which is the first time I used Lightmatica. That was something we're going to have to use as well again soon for when we do the Never Hub project. Keep an eye out for that because that should be coming up soon, hopefully. But this is the collective headquarters. We have built our headquarters. We've got to build the grounds around the outside yet, but the actual headquarters itself is now actually up and constructed, so we actually have somewhere for the collective to be based. So we've got a little reception in here, we've got some little notice boards here. I love this idea as well that Bex did with using mushroom blocks as notice boards, like these little cork boards that are put up the front there. It looks absolutely fantastic in there. And we come through, we've got a little fountain at the back there. And yeah, I mean, we all seem to have a lot of fountains in our base, especially me. Maybe that's come from my design elements, actually thinking about it. It's all made with stone blocks. It makes sense. But yeah, we come upstairs and we've got the sort of meeting table here, so people don't have to keep travelling down to the DrakenSpire, because even though I love having guests over at the DrakenSpire, it is well out of the way. So actually having our own little boardroom up here is a pretty good idea, so we can have meetings not just amongst ourselves, but with others as well. And yeah, so this is the Collective HQ. So we actually have somewhere to start doing more work from and doing a bit more collective work for the next several months and everything else like that as we go through things. But yes, I have been Draken. This is the Draken GameWorks. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye bye.